Welcome to another eDesign Codemakers tutorial for web design. In this video, we're going to focus on learning some HTML. So let's get started. The website we've chosen to use in order to do some HTML tutorials is w3schools.com. This website is a fantastic resource not only for HTML, but other web technologies that you might use going forward. For HTML tutorials, I suggest you going through each chapter to pick out the things that you want to learn. Some of the things that we're going to focus on are things like CSS. We're going to focus on layouts. And we're going to focus on JavaScript. Now, when it comes to HTML, there's a bunch of different tags that we can use, and I definitely encourage you to go through each chapter to figure out which ones you're going to need in order to create your web page. Now, you're probably wondering, where do I type HTML? Well, when we look at the HTML editors that W3Schools recommended, you can use your basic Notepad or text edit programs within your Mac or your PC. We use a program called Notepad++, but you can literally use any text editor to create HTML code. This is what makes HTML one of the best things to use when you're making a web page. You can do it basically anywhere. Now, let's take a look at layouts. This is something we want to focus on just because this is an important thing when you're creating any web page. Whether you're using something like Wix or WordPress, these layout elements are something that can turn your web page for something that's plain into something that's extraordinary. One of the tags that we're going to focus on is a div tag. A div tag basically helps break up your website into different containers. It really is division. That's how we take a look at it, and I think that's how you would want to take a look at it as well. As you can see in the example below, this web page has broken things up into a header, a navigation bar, a content section, and a footer. So the nice thing is that when everything's broken up like this, you can actually see and play around with very specific sections of your website with other things, such as JavaScript or CSS. And as you can see as we go down, you can see that the CSS or cascading style sheet specifically colors and coordinates elements utilizing those div tags. When we look at the tags, you can notice they all have an ID property. When we look at specifically the nav section and we go down to our CSS, this section tells us that the line height is supposed to be 30 pixels and there's a bunch of other properties. This is a nice way of making sure that your web page gets broken up in the way that you want it, into the containers you want it in, and then you can manipulate things much easier using CSS or JavaScript. That's the basics of the div tag and the reason why they exist. I encourage you to check out the W3Schools website, and I hope you enjoyed watching this eDesign Codemaker tutorial for web design.